Hey guys, what's up? It's MatchPoint here, and in today's video I'm going to be giving you 5 things that beginners should know in Rainbow Six Siege. This video will suit you if you are a beginner in Rainbow Six Siege or you quite simply need to refresh your knowledge, as there are quite some useful tips here. So if you do find this video useful, consider dropping a like on the video. And if there are any topics that you would like me to cover next, or even if you do have a specific topic that you would like me to cover and you're struggling with, well, make sure you comment it down below so I know to do them. If this video does help you out, make sure to subscribe for more tips and tricks videos like this one. Just a quick reminder that I do stream on Twitch on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays. There will be a link down below in the description. I would highly recommend checking it out, as well there are quite a few Siege tricks that you can pick up on with the VOD reviews. If you are new around here, welcome, and I hope you enjoyed the video, so let's get on into it. The first tip that I'm going to be giving you guys is going to be screening the plant. While this may be for beginners, there are a lot of players who don't know how to do this correctly and who don't even know of the technique. Now, the very common and ineffective way to plant the defuser and use the smoke grenades for it is going to be to plant that defuser and then throw a smoke grenade onto the defuser. This way, when that player goes to plant the defuser, they will have that smoke on the defuser covering them. However, this is an extremely ineffective way to do so. While it may give you that cover that you need, realistically, you're not. You're going to be telling the enemy where you are planting that defuser. If there is one smoke grenade down on the defuser plant, well, that's giving an enemy a clear signal to either throw a C4 over in your position or to simply shoot there. Any advanced player would know that this is happening, and therefore they can throw that C4 and take you out. And well, you may be wondering to yourself, well, MatchPoint, how do I plant the defuser then? Well, I'll show you right now. Instead, you want to be using a technique called, like I mentioned before, screening the plant. This is where you throw your 2 smoke grenades down. However, you're not going to be throwing them directly on the defuser. Instead, you're going to be creating a wall between you and the other side of where you're planting the defuser. There will be an example of this on your screen to help you get the gist of it. What you're going to be doing here is creating a wall of smoke so that the enemy cannot see through. And if the enemy were to throw a C4 onto that smoke, well, they'd be very off. They're going to be hitting that wall of smoke where you're nowhere near. You're going to be planting the defuser behind it, and that wall of smoke is simply a covering to block off any vision. It is much more effective as it blocks off all enemy sights onto it, and as well, it makes it very hard for a defender to depict on where you're going to be planting that defuser, as you have a lot of options behind that wall of smoke. The next tip that I'm going to be giving you for beginners is going to be the One Hit Barricade Technique. Now, in Siege there is actually a way to only melee the barricade once and be able to vault through it. Now, normally you would have to melee the barricade twice and then vault through it. However, with this technique you can very easily vault through that barricade in a quick time. It is something you need to know when starting out in Siege, and is a very useful trick to implement into your game. Now, this technique is hard to master and it will take a lot of practice to get used to it. You may not be hitting it all the time, however, with more and more practice you will begin to get used to it. Now, if you take a look at the barricade, as you can see, there are individual panels on that barricade. There are little wooden beams on the barricade, as you can see, that I'm pointing out to you on your screen. Now, a regular melee of the barricade would break 2 of these panels. However, if you aim your melee in order to hit one of the middle panels so that it hits the top of one and the bottom of one, and as well the middle, this is going to break out 3 panels. If you can aim it correctly, you will be able to hit out those 3 panels, and therefore this is going to make the option for it to come up as a vaulting technique. Now, if we know we need to break out 3 panels, then we should be aiming it for the left side of that middle cross on the barricade. And there will be an example on your screen of what this technique looks like when it is being pulled off successfully. However, please do remember that it takes a lot of practice to get used to, and I would recommend hopping into a custom game and trying it out and getting used to it. You won't be able to do it first time if you've never done it before. The next top tip that beginners should know in Rainbow Six Siege is going to be their map knowledge. Map knowledge is vital in Rainbow Six Siege and is something I stress about a lot. And map knowledge will really help you to get to learn the basics of the map, where to rotate you, and overall it's going to structure your gameplay and how you're playing. Now, if you're struggling to learn your map knowledge, then I'm going to give you a very quick and easy way and the most effective way in Siege to learn your map knowledge. Now, in our brain we do have something called the working memory. Now, the working memory can only store memories for not very long at all, and it can only hold very few memories. Now we're going to apply it to Siege by these memories being the map knowledge that we briefly pick up when playing games. Now a more familiar term is the long-term memory, and this is where it can hold multiple memories, quite a few, and as well it can hold them for long periods of time. Now to transfer this map knowledge over to the long-term memory, we have to perform a special technique. What I would recommend you to do is hop into a custom game with the desired map that you do want to learn. Then you do need to load up a blueprint of that map that you're going to be learning. In game you will see this mini-map on the bottom of your screen that does give you a room name, however they're not always going to be the exact call out that the community does use, however they will give you a good idea. What you need to now be doing is wandering around that map that you're going to be using in game, and as well making note of all the key features that it has to offer, such as the main stairwells which really link and hold the map together, and as well hatches and anything that you might feel is important. Whenever you enter a new room, or if you do find a key aspect that you need to note down, then take a look at it in the blueprint so that you are making those cross links. Remember, you need to associate it with something that you already know, so if the stairs are going to be in the colour yellow, make sure that you note down on either a piece of paper, or if you really can make that mental note, however I would recommend writing it down, write down the yellow stairs. Making those cross links is really going to help with remembering it and putting it into the long-term memory. Now the next tip that I'm going to be giving you is going to be in regards to droning out hatches. A big mistake and misconception that I see players doing is how they're droning out the hatches. When you are droning a hatch out in Siege and you break open the hatch, therefore you're going to throw your drone in to make sure that room is clear where you're going to be dropping down from the hatch. Now what a lot of players do, and they shouldn't be doing this, is throwing their drone immediately down that hatch. This is a bad idea, as in the time it takes for you to flick onto your drone once it's been deployed down there, and the drone has actually fell down that hatch, a defender sitting in that room can very easily take out your drone with one simple click. So instead you need to be deploying your drone nearby the hatch, but not dropping it down the hatch. Then you can flick onto your drone and simply jump down the hatch, but you're going to be actually on the drone yourself. So if you were to hop down that hatch with your drone, you can very easily see who has shot you out, as now that you are always on your drone when you're going down that hatch, you have the intel that you need because you're on your drone actively watching it when you fall down. It's going to allow you to have a lot more intel than you would otherwise, as you would be wondering where you've been shot from and being afraid to push down there with little intel and knowing that there is a defender in that room. Now the final tip that I'm going to be giving you in Siege for beginners is going to be the different droning types. In Siege there are many different droning types that it does have to offer, and you really should lock these down as early as possible in the game. I have covered a guide with all of the droning types that you need to know about in Siege, and there will be a card in the top right if you do require that information, as here I'm just going to be giving you a brief tip for it and mentioning only a few of the droning types to give you a general idea. Now in order to drone efficiently in Rainbow Six Siege, you don't want to be spending too long on your drone and wasting that time. Instead you want to be scampering around on your drone, droning out very quickly but as well in enough detail. There is a very fine line in doing this, as you want to be making sure you're quick but you are not droning out in enough detail. Now as you will have seen on your screen, there will be an example of what this droning would look like. Now another droning type that you do need to know is the flank drone, and it is arguably one of the most useful droning types in Siege. The flank drone will require you to save your drone at the start and make sure that you do have 2 drones from now on in the game. Therefore you're going to be using one drone for your primary droning, and then the second drone you can set up as a flank drone. Now what this means is that you're going to be positioning your drone in a position so that it will cover your back, and this means you can very easily flick onto that drone whenever you need to check if there's a roamer flanking you, and therefore you can make sure the area is clear. And there will have been an example of what this does look like in Siege on your screen. And that is going to be it for today's video, guys. I hope you have all enjoyed. If you did, or you found this video useful, then make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe for more tips and tricks like this. A quick reminder that I do stream on Twitch on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays. There will be a link down below as well. If you haven't already, make sure to join the wonderful people in the Discord community down below as well. And if you would like more tips and tricks, well, there will be a card at the end with my latest video. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.